Hello and welcome back to On the Workbench. Today we've got a look at an interesting new tool from Kobalt. This is the 24-volt max brushless 6-inch pruning saw. So here's the box. This is the kit that comes with a battery and a charger. We look at the front. All we really see, only spec we see, 6 inches and a pruning saw. We flip this around. Look at all the sides. The only other specs that we're going to get on the rear is simply that we've got a 3/8 inch pitch with a .043 gauge saw coming in at 3.16 pounds with a 28 link chain, 2 amp hour battery, and a 45 watt charger. And toolless chain tensioning, perhaps most importantly, and up to 120 cuts per charge with a 2 amp hour battery. Retractable chain guard. Let's just see how this works. And an automatic oiler. Since this comes in the new packaging, this does not have the tool grid that we've been familiar with in the past. Look over in the corner, the date code on this is October of 2022. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what we get. This was picked up at my local Lowe's for about $150 plus tax. So what do we get here? We got our instruction manuals. We'll set those aside. We've got a battery. This is the new version of the battery. 2 bars out of the box. Obviously your mileage may vary, but this is the new style battery here with the word Kobalt instead of the circle K on it. We have the older style charger, which I find to be an interesting choice. I thought moving forward we'd be seeing the slightly higher amperage replacement version of this charger coming with kits. And then we have the tool. We'll set that aside. And that's it for what comes in the box. Remove the bag. We've got a little tag here on the front of the saw. Is there any extra safety information or useful information on this that we need to pay attention to? Not really. So we'll go ahead and take off that tag. Obviously, if that were a display model at the store, you might want that. And so now the first thing, looking at this saw, before we go to remove the chain guard, they actually have a retention spot right here. So we go to remove the chain guard, we'll have to pay attention to this little indent here. Really nice touch for keeping the chain guard on for safety. And I also see a little bit of oil on the guard. That's nice. And it's actually already comes pre-loaded with the chain, so you don't have to go ahead and string up the chain. On the top of the saw, we've got a chain guard up there. So on this saw, since this is a one-handed compact saw, there is no guard here or bucking spikes. There's a little bit of, I take that back. There are some bucking spikes on the backside, but there's not that usual handle guard that has a safety mechanism on it. This is a one-handed saw, but there is this little push-through safety here to be able to release it and to be able to hold it or to depress it. It does not hold on. Our toolless change is going to be right here. If we lift up on this, we can then adjust the tension on the bar, or we can go ahead and unscrew this like this. And that gives us access to the bar. Obviously, if you're doing that, make sure the battery is not attached. And so then you can use that to be able to retract or extend the bar to be able to apply tension. And then screw this down. It does not appear there's any knob or adjustment here to try to ensure that you've got to be able to add tension to this. And just looking at this, there's not really much room to adjust for the tension on the chain. So that's perhaps why there's not an adjustment screw there for that. We'll go ahead and assemble this back together. That feels nice and secure. I like that. We've got the new next gen Kobalt grip on this. Got the little hexagons. I really like this new grip. It's soft and comfortable. And so that feels really nice in the hand. Obviously, we'll put our battery back here. And to add bar oil, here we've got a nice little toolless removal clip here. I like how that pops up there. And it even has a little integrated retention piece there. However, this did not actually come with bar and chain oil. I find that to be quite a bit surprising. A lot of other chainsaws will come with at least a little trial size that you can fill up your reservoir with bar and chain oil. So out of the box, it's ready to go. On the packaging, at least on the outside, it's not very clear to someone who's not in the know with chainsaws that you also need to be picking up a bottle of bar and chain oil. So I'm going to add some bar and chain oil here in a second, and we will then be taking a look at this saw and giving it a few thoughts. All right, so now with the saw on its side, I've got some bar and chain oil. This is just some AMSOIL bar and chain oil. Use any variety that you like. That should be plenty for right now. We'll put the lid back on. I really like this lid here and the way that it's got this nice little lift up corner. That was well thought out. So now that we've got the saw lubricated, we've got this here. Let me get some safety glasses, and then we will go ahead and test out the saw. And now with safety glasses in hand, we'll go ahead and put those on. I've got the battery fully charged. Hopefully you can see that there, 4 bars. We'll go ahead and slide this on the saw, and we'll just power it on so you can hear it. So at first glance here, I can tell there's just some slight variation in the trigger for the response of the RPMs of the chain. And the next thing I want to check came with a 2 amp hour battery, which to me seems a little bit paltry when I think about chainsaws. And we know in the past there's been a handful of Kobalt tools that have not played nice with these ultimate output batteries. So I've got an 8.0 big ultimate output battery. Definitely overkill for the saw, but we'll just see and make sure that it still accepts it. No problem. Definitely more clunky, and it doesn't really quite sit right. So with the 8 amp hour battery on it, one of the things that you'll notice why this might be a bad idea is the clearance between the ground and the blade with the battery attached is much less than what it is with the 2 amp hour battery. Let me flip that there. With a 2 amp hour battery, you've got a much larger clearance under the bar. Now the next thing I want to test is to see if there's any switch at all related to this mechanism. So I'll try to do this as safely as I can. I'm going to take a 2x3 here and just hold this back and turn the saw on. So it looks like that guard is just a guard and there is no safety mechanism related to that. So now the next thing is to go and see how this tool performs. So I've been trying to figure out where might be the ideal use for this saw. And it is called a pruning saw. So that obviously lends itself towards trimming small bushes, hedges, perhaps some bonsai trees or something else very small and compact. Now it's January where I live and it's winter, so my options are relatively limited. But I do have my Christmas tree that we just took out and set out back by our burn barrel. And we can use that. And I've got some other leftover sticks that we'll see if we can cut with this and see how it performs. So now let's head outside and give the saw a little test. All right, so you can see I've got this plant here that has this, what I believe to be an invasive tree kind of in the middle here that we'll see if we can trim that out of that today. So we'll go ahead and attach the battery to the saw, and we'll see if we can get rid of this tree here out of this other bush. There we go. That's maybe 2-3 inches, if you can see that there on camera. And the saw stalled out there. It bound up a bit and was not able to completely power through that branch. Let's try this one right here. Let me move the camera. We'll try just the end. All right, so we're gonna try the end of this other piece of that. Another small bind, still got it done. All right, now you can see my Christmas tree from this past Christmas season. Hope your Christmas went well. And so now we're gonna try to trim this up a little bit with this pruning saw. One of the tasks I find sometimes having to do around Christmas is needing to kind of flatten up one side of a tree to make it fit a little bit nicer, either by a window or in a corner. A task that maybe you might have to do as well around the holidays. So we'll see how well this handles working on this tree. So on that tree, it actually worked really well. Obviously the branches were much smaller than what we was trying to prune out before. So it's clear just from a few quick here field tests that the size of the branch you're pruning or trimming with this really is going to matter for how well this saw is going to perform for you and whatever tasks you have for it. Just as another test, here's a piece of some downed tree limb that we'll see if we can cut this. That time went pretty well. I know this is actually rotted out. It's about 3 inches in diameter and definitely dry. So that went much easier than what we cut earlier. So to me, I think it's pretty clear from playing around with this here a little bit now that this is going to be intended for definitely smaller branches. And when they say pruning, they definitely mean pruning. And you can see from looking at the blade that the oiler is indeed working. I'm not seeing any oil dripping out of the saw, which is good. If we look here at the bottom of the saw, you can see we have some debris built up in there. We'll be able to clean that out. Obviously, if you're going to clean that out, take off the battery. Always want to be safe, and we'll pull out that debris from the tree. Put their battery back on, and we're ready to go. Okay, so here's one more thing here I want to trim up. I've got some raspberry bush stems that have grown through my fence. Let's try to trim that up here right quick. Nice and easy, made simple work of that. We've got a little bit more over here. Very simple. All right, so the next thing I got here is I've got a tree that's been trying to grow inside of a rose bush here. There are some rocks around here, so I gotta be kind of careful. I try to get this with my loppers every year because this tree keeps wanting to grow through this rose bush. I need to find a good way to kill it without killing the rose bush, but we'll give this saw a shot at trying to trim out this a little bit deeper. Yep, got that. Checks in maybe about 1 inch or so in diameter, and that seems to be about the upper limit that I can tell for where this saw is good for. So now to wrap up on the saw, you saw it out there cutting a few branches. It obviously bogged down with a couple of the slightly larger branches. That was a little disappointing to me, to be fair. Maybe that's intended as a safety cutout since there is no actual break from a handguard on this tool. And so trying to think about this tool and what it might be intended for or what might be the ideal uses for it, to me, it's if you're trying to cut limbs or tree branches or something that's just slightly larger, than what a pair of ordinary loppers will cut by hand. This might be the tool for you. I think the other alternative is the one-handed Kobalt recip saw with a 6-inch blade in it, wood cutting blade. You can get longer trimming blades to put into the one-handed recip saw. And as you can see, the form factor here is somewhat similar. Obviously, you have to account for the chain. And so I think this saw presents an interesting alternative that lives somewhere in between those two choices, and you'll have to decide if it's right for you. To me, one of the other compelling things as I think about this saw is that for $40 more, you get a 4 amp hour battery and the full-size saw. So I find this to be a bit of a niche tool because to me, 40 bucks more with a slightly larger battery gets you a full-size proper chainsaw that has the extra protection with the chain brake up here that will cut out automatically as an extra layer of protection, and you get a 12-inch bar. The saw works great. I've had the saw now for about 2 years. Loved it. Fantastic. This saw, I think, lives somewhere in a slightly different space, and I think something else that's very, very important I want to point out here. Because there is no auxiliary handle on the side when you're holding this, what do you do with the extra hand? Well, the obvious thing is either put it behind your back or to put it somewhere nowhere near the blade of the saw, or you could put it on top like this, but do not, notice the battery is not attached right now, do not be tempted to wrap your hand around the saw like this. This would be a very bad idea. Do not do this. Why is this bad? Because right under here, that's a live action moving chain. So what do you do with your extra hand? Well, you do not put it here. It needs to go somewhere else, and I think particularly if you're right-handed, you want to hold this with your right hand, where do you put your left hand? If you're left-handed and you hold it over here, or you're trying to cut something low to the ground, maybe it's more obvious to hold it like this, because you can definitely get low like this as you try to get something lower to the ground. Obviously, since this is a chainsaw, you don't want to run it into the dirt, because that'll be a very fast way to dull your blade. And so if you're trying to go low and flush to the ground, you've got a clearance here. Let me get out a measuring tape. And so just here at the base, we've got about a 1-inch clearance this way, but going the other direction, we're looking at about a 3/4 inch offset from being flush to the ground for trying to cut something flat this way. Obviously, you can hold it, angle it to be able to get in there where you want. So I think it's a really interesting tool from Kobalt that lives kind of in a space that I'm kind of surprised it came out with this tool, given that Kobalt has the full-size chainsaw and has the recip saw. So I'm really curious if you've got some other creative ways that you might use this saw in your shop, your garage, your garden, outdoors, somewhere. Let me know. I'd love to hear about it down below. Questions or comments, obviously share it. Give this video a thumbs up. Check out a playlist of other Kobalt tool review videos on my channel. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year, and I'll see you back here soon for a new video. Have a great day. Bye.